what's going on? Well, I know I'm not in the Oval Office today. I'm actually at the radio station. It's Memorial Day. It's the afternoon, and I'm here having to do traffic this afternoon. So, as you can imagine, on Memorial Day, there's not a lot of traffic out since a lot of people have the day off. So I thought, well, in between my traffic reports, I can do a vlog for you guys since I've been promising to do that. So I've got a few minutes. So I thought I would just bring the camera up here and we could talk about that. So anyway, here's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about wedding reception timelines. I've heard a lot of DJs talking about this, and actually read about DJs talking about this a lot lately on the DJ Ideas Sharing Facebook page and also some of the other wedding Facebook pages that I'm a part of. So I thought I would just give you my opinion on this and just talk to you a little bit about that, you know, from the DJ's point of view, and just kind of give you some suggestions and some things to think about when it comes to wedding reception timelines. Now, I've seen other DJs say, well, how do you stay on time? You know, when you set up a detailed timeline, how do you stay on time for the reception? Well, there's a simple solution to this, okay? You don't set up a timeline for the reception. And I've learned that, I learned that a long time ago, that you don't want to set up a detailed timeline for the reception. And there's a few main reasons that you don't want to do that. And one of the main reasons is, first of all, the reception is supposed to be a fun, relaxing, and stress-free end of the day for the bride and groom. It's supposed to be a party, and you don't want to set up a detailed timeline trying to stay on time for that, because that's only going to add stress to the bride, the groom, and the other vendors like yourself. You know, if you're sitting there looking and saying, okay, it's 7:30, we got to get the cake cutting done, or we're running behind, we got the father-bride dance coming up at 7:45, and we got to, make sure that we're on time and all this other stuff. You don't want to do that for the reception, because like I said, that's only going to add stress if you're trying to stay on time and stick to a detailed time schedule. And that's something that I just don't recommend for the reception. Now, I will say that I do recommend setting up a wedding timeline for everything up to and including the ceremony. For example, the bridesmaids need to know, if there's going to be a bridesmaid luncheon, what time they need to be there, what time they need to be at the wedding venue for the ceremony, and, if they got hair appointments, makeup appointments, that kind of thing. You definitely need to make sure that you got times listed for those kind of events. But when it comes to the reception, there's only 3 times that you want listed. And that is a start time, which is the time that you want your DJ set up and playing music, a time to have dinner ready, and an end time. That's it. That's all you need as far as the times for the reception. Everything else will fall into place. And this is one of the things that I like to tell my brides about when we talk about doing reception timelines. When they ask my opinion on that, I tell them you don't want to set up a detailed timeline. Now, what do we do instead of a detailed timeline when it comes to the wedding reception? Well, what I do is I set everything up on a sequence of events. So when I say we're not setting everything up on a timeline, that doesn't mean we're not going to organize it, and it's not going to be in order or anything like that, and we're not going to have some sort of organization to it. We're going to set everything up on a reception sequence of events in order of the events that the bride wants. For example, she may want to do her wedding party introductions and then socialize for a few minutes, then do the blessing, the dinner, and then do her first dance after dinner or something like that. It's whatever order that she wants to do, that's what we'll do. But we'll set everything up on a detailed sequence of events, and that's what we give out to the other vendors. And what I do is when it comes time to do a certain event, we don't try to stick to a time schedule. Like I said, when it looks like it's time to do an event, I will go to the bride and groom and say, okay, you want to do your next event, and I'll make sure that they're ready. I'll then go to the other vendors and make sure they're ready. Like, for example, let's say dinner's getting close to being over with. You start to see people talking loud and stuff like that. You can tell most people are getting close to finishing eating. At that point, I'll go to the bride and groom and say, hey, bride and groom, it looks like we're, most people are finished eating. Do you want to do your toast and your cake cutting in about 10 minutes? Well, the bride and groom will usually say yes, and then what I'll do at that point is I'll go to the other vendors, especially the photographer, and just give them a heads up and say, okay, we're going to be doing our toast and our cake cutting in about 10 minutes. That way, if they need to go change out a cartridge, or maybe their camera might have jammed or something like that, and they need to run their car and get another one or something, they've got time to do that. So that's what I'll do, and then I'll usually get on the microphone at that point and let all the guests know that we're going to be announcing the toast, or we're going to be doing the toast to cake cutting rather, in about 10 minutes or so. And that way they can go ahead and go to the bar and get their drinks, or whatever they need to do. If the bride needs to run the bathroom, she's also got time to go do that. So that's what I normally do, and I keep everybody in the loop on that. At the end of that 10-minute period, I'll then go back to the bride and groom and ask them if they're ready to make sure, and then I'll go check once again with the other vendors to make sure that they're ready. And again, I don't get on the microphone and announce anything or do anything until I personally checked with the bride, the groom, and the other vendors to make sure everybody's ready. And that's always worked out really well. And that's what I'm saying. That's why we don't need a detailed time schedule, because we're not going to do anything or announce anything until I personally checked with the bride and the groom and the other vendors anyway. So really, setting up a time schedule like that is just going to be pointless. And like I said, you're not going to stay on time anyway. And even trying to stay on time is just going to add stress to everybody involved. So that's something to think about. I mean, a lot of times, and I would say probably, I don't know, a lot of times I've done weddings over the last 20 years. And when I've done ceremonies, a lot of times the ceremony won't start on time. Or maybe, after the ceremony, somebody, will be sitting around talking, or, all the guests are going to want to talk to the bride and groom or whatever before pictures and that kind of thing. I mean, it happens, and so if we had everything set up on a detailed time schedule, that would throw everything off. So that's why I don't recommend doing it for the reception. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful for you. Like I said, for the reception, the only times that you need is the start time, which is the time you want the DJ set up and playing music, a time to have dinner ready, and an end time. That's it. Everything else will fall in place. You don't want to be setting up a detailed time schedule with everything listed with a time beside it, like the cake cutting and the first dance and all that other stuff. It will drive you crazy if you even attempt to do it, and you're not going to stay on time anyway. Alrighty, that's where we're going to leave this. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to drop me an email. My email address is right there on the screen, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. We got more vlogs coming up. We've also got more gig logs coming up. So until next time, practice and enjoy.